Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of PKM Weekly. So let's see what's in store for us this week. Obsidian, if you've ever wanted to see points of interest on a map within Obsidian through a very easy way of just inputting some coordinates into your properties, this is now possible, and Capano, they just posted a update with, I've updated my vault to show you how I use the new maps feature for Obsidian bases. Super useful for travel planning, and as you can see, he's got various different points of interest in the map, and it's just basically done through the coordinates and the maps plugin for Obsidian, which is developed by the Obsidian team, that you can get the points of view and the points of interest on a map very easily and straightforward. And that's his tweet here, that you can see that he's created that. And what better way to look at it than use Carlos's video, where they go through and they explain to us how we can actually create something very similar that Capano did in about 9 minutes. And they use Zurich as an example, but you can see here what they basically do. Okay, create a new base. Through the maps plugin, you can then play around with it, and then all you need is a couple of coordinates, and then you can start to populate the map. So very easy to use, a great update. So looking forward to testing this one out. What Obsidian has also done is the Bases API that was released a few days ago, and already people have started to make the best out of it. And there is one that they used as an example through their tweet, which is using a calendar view through the Bases plugin. So you can see here, start date, end date, and it's basically done through properties and bases. So a very worthwhile update. And if you want, you can now also start to look at the guide, where you can build your own bases view. So this is on the Obsidian documents, where you can learn how to create a custom bases view and dynamically render data for node properties in a list format. A couple of prerequisites, and before you start, and it's very useful because it's got a sample plugin, so you can get ideas and then I guess either develop your own or just use GPT to do it for you. So lots of great updates from the Obsidian team, just really leveraging the power of bases. Next up was a video from Nick. It's not specific to Obsidian, but it is 10 tools or 10 digital tools that quietly change the way he works. So well worthwhile looking into it. It does go through the 10 tools that he uses day in, day out. And it's, as I say, not just about Obsidian, but there might be a few tools that you can pick up as well. And I like Nick's work, so I just thought I'd post this one this week as well. And then there's a couple of other interesting Reddit posts from this week. One was, I've recently changed from Notion to Obsidian, and what might motivate you, sorry, for those that have recently changed from Notion to Obsidian, what motivates you to do it? And obviously the first response is offline and plain text files, but there is quite a lot of responses here about what people have found useful. So if you are in debate about Notion versus Obsidian, definitely do check this one out because it might give you some guide. And then another one was Obsidian advice for beginners or the overwhelmed, just use it wrong. Basically, don't worry about all of these guides and things. Just open it, use it the way you like, use it the way you want, whether it's right or wrong, and really just start using it. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. As long as you can input your notes and find them, there is no right way of doing it. So that was that for Obsidian. Tana, they did the Tana current. So Matt and Brage did the latest update of what was going on, what the team's currently working on, recent releases, upcoming features, some tips and tricks. Definitely worthwhile having a look into that one. And what I found most interesting was really the offline mode. So one of the developers of Tana showcased or given a bit of an update that Tana offline mode is coming soon. So it was estimated in the next 2 weeks or so. So really not a long time to wait. And there is a few descriptions and things of what it's going to be for longer periods of offline work, reload, build, search, all workspaces, search at, going back online, what's going to happen. So they are working on it, and it is going to be with us very soon. It is going to be the first iteration, and obviously then they're going to build on it, but at least it's nothing like Notion, which took years upon years to do an offline mode. At least Tana know the value of it, and they are doing something about it. So definitely looking forward to this one. And on top of that, what they've now done is Tana Free will include 500 AI credits every month. So whether you're on the paid plan or the free plan, you will now get AI credits. So definitely a benefit for the free plan users that you now get 500 AI credits every single month. And you can see here what you can do. So it is well worthwhile looking into that one if you want to avail the free credits. And obviously they do say, the real power is in Pro, but at least this should get you started, and then you can leverage the power of AI on your notes. And last up is a new weekly drop-in session for beginners or anyone that wants a refresh. And Ev Chapman, she's going to look into live sessions or host live sessions and just talk about Tana 60-minute sessions just to get the beginner-friendly space, explore things, ask questions, get feedback on ideas and setups, and really just develop out a Tana workspace. So no set agendas or presentations. It's just come, ask the questions, or see Ev do her work. So well worthwhile signing up to that one. The first one is on Monday the 13th, 7 p.m, 8 p.m, I think, or 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning for me, which is Gulf Standard Time. So well worthwhile having a look into that one, see if you can manage to join that one. Capacities, they've got a couple of things. Why is Capacities priced away? So pricing is hard, we all know that. They don't claim to have found the perfect solution, but with this article that they've published, they want to just clarify and explain their pricing points of why they've done certain things. And first up is AI costs do not drive the subscription fee, which I think a lot of people do think, well, just because it's got AI, it's going to be more expensive. And that's not really the case. And they are, which I thought was quite interesting, they are looking ahead. We intend to introduce a cost per use model, or even better, a bring your own key. So that then if you want to use AI, you can use it based on your own usage, and you don't have to pay for X amounts of credits that you may or may not use. So it will use what, or you will pay for what you use, which I think is a great addition. And then it just goes into what they've done, why they've done it in the way they have, and lastly, really, it is Capacities Pro. Yes, it costs money. It's not really about a rational transaction, because you do get some benefits, but not so many benefits when you compare it to other apps. But it's more about being part of a bigger mission and really helping the team, which is just a small team, basically grow the product out. So if you are a supporter of Capacities and you like the product, then definitely worthwhile having a look into whether you can upgrade to Pro, get a few benefits, but really more about supporting the team. And then next up, they've also done a latest released better object dashboards, option to exclude tags, drag and drop, and Readwise integration updates. So you can see the full update here, what they've done in the past couple of days or so, the past week or so, and what it means for Capacities and various different changes. So definitely worthwhile having a look at that one as well. Logseq, there was just one update that I could find this week. Logseq MCP server, that's going to be coming soon, it seems, because they are working on it. And there is a PR from CLD Walker that, okay, it was opened about 3 weeks ago, but the key point is there's just a couple of outstanding items to be done before, I believe, the Logseq MCP server, which is going to be used for connecting the graph to other AI applications so that you can leverage LLMs and things to your notes. So that's going to be hopefully released soon or implemented soon. So looking forward to playing around with that one. Joplin, there was a few updates that they've released in the past couple of weeks or so. A lot on the mobile app focus, so rich text editor, support for publishing notes, view note history, tag dialogue's been updated, Android's improved the voice typing, and then they've also improved on the desktop version more markdown editor settings and smaller application size. And you can see the full change log here through the Joplin app, which I think is always great, so you can actually see what your notes will look like. The various different updates, the rich text editor, publishing, view note history from your mobile, so these were all mobile updates, and then a couple for the desktop, more markdown editor settings, and a much reduced file size, or application size for faster startup. So some great updates from the Joplin app on that side. Mem 2.0, that's been released and quite a lot of fanfare has been made about it. Does it bring in quite a lot of new things. So voice mode, you can now just talk to your notes, get them organized. Mem will transcribe it or take notes for you, so you don't need a meeting bot or anything. It's just basically speak and have your notes appear. Agentic Chrome extension, email integration, deep search, and a heads up, so notes automatically resurface at the right moment at the right time. So if you're about to hop in a meeting, Mem will bring up, or hopefully will bring up, the right notes. about the person that you're about to meet or what you're going to discuss, so that then at least you can have it there ready whenever you need it. And there was a few more updates, definitely worthwhile having a look through the MEM 2.0 post. And there is even a video with various different things, and they've rebranded. And the what's new is down here, so you can see it here in a bit of action as well. So a great update from MEM 2.0. They do seem to be making a comeback. Evernote as well, quite a lot of AI updates this week. So new features available in version 11. These are going to be available soon. So what we're going to have is an AI assistant, so you can chat with AI about your notes and get answers based on your own content. Semantic search and AI-powered meeting notes, so very similar to MEM. Automatically transcribe and summarize your audio recordings with support for multiple speakers. So again, you can see the full update here of what's coming up with version 11. It really is focused on AI, just making things a lot easier to use and retrieve through the app. So definitely worthwhile having a look at this one if you haven't already done so, and if you're still a fan of Evernote. So a good few updates on that side. Anytype, they've released, this wasn't this week, this was last week, but they released version 0.50 for the desktop. And it was really focused around chats, so it basically allows you to chat with other people in your notes. Personally, I'm not too sure I really see what the advantage of this is, but I guess if you use it collaboratively, it might make sense. But yeah, from my point of view, it's TBD whether it's worthwhile or not. The other good things were Vault updates, widget bar structure, and quality of life improvements. So a good few updates here, but I think they've gone the very collaborative way of bringing in chats to your notes, which, as I say, to me, I'm not really a big fan of it. And then there's also some other cool things planned, which I like. So reminders, formulas, and transclusions. These, yes, I would like to see how they're going to be implemented within Anytype. So hopefully soon we shall see some demos and some ideas of how they're going to be integrated. And then we've also got the mobile app. They've been updated to similar things that the desktop has now as well. Heptabase, in the latest version, you can now enable can chat permissions for your public whiteboards. So we do seem to be going down the chat option. So this is a video. This has been shared. It's a note that's been shared or made public. Anyone can chat, and you can see here he opens it up, and then you can chat with the note itself. Again, I'm struggling a little bit to understand why for the PKM or even for collaborative you would need this, trying to go down the Teams route of just having an app that you can chat and everything. Yeah, from my point of view, it's on the line or on the fence whether it's worthwhile or not. And last up for this week, is Griply. So if you haven't already checked it out, it is well worthwhile having a look into if you want to see your goals, habits, and tasks all in one space. I use it extensively, and I think it's great. It does exactly what I want it to do. Pricing as well is very reasonable. You get quite a lot on the free plan, and if not, $30 a year, and you get even more available. So definitely worthwhile having a look at this one if you're a fan of tracking your habits, plans, and goals. And anyway, what the latest update that they've included does is it does natural language input and smart recognition. So now you can create tasks in Griply a lot faster by using just plain natural language. And it's going to recognize dates, times, priority, goals, tags, reminders, repeat schedules, and a lot more. So here's a few examples. Call Alex at 2 p.m, brainstorm new concepts for 2.5 hours, in the goal of starting a side business, exercise every Monday, Wednesday, Friday even, going to sport and health, and pick up package today at 5 o'clock. And there's even a video of how you can integrate these and how you can use them. So well worthwhile having a look at Griply, and if not, upgrading to the latest version. And that was it for this week. So thank you very much for being here, and I shall see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.